Hi there folks, my name's Ben and this is a Shots Fired Airsoft video, and today we're having a look at the... please excuse the state of my hands. Actually been working on one of my bikes today and I'm covered in filth still. However, I got some shooting footage of this today after having finally fixed it, and I wanted to share it with you all, and also what I did to actually get this working after we had a rather unsatisfactory review of it. So bear with me, give me 10 minutes of your time, and I'm going to show you why this didn't work, how it was fixed, and future concerns that I have for the general design of this pistol. Let's get into it. So the issue we had in the review was that this did not want to cycle. When you had like a fresh gas fill in the mag, it would fire 5 or 6 shots and then just stop cycling properly. So it wouldn't actually bring the nozzle back far enough to load another BB. So it would cycle, so to speak, but it was an incomplete cycle. So the issue turned out to be with the nozzle itself and its fitment within the blowback housing. So as you can see here, this is sorted out now. You can see that that nozzle, when you pop it out, will return back into its little cubby hole in the centre. I've posted a little bit of footage up on the screen at the moment of how it used to be, and as you can see, that as I'm pulling this in and out, I have to put a lot of force to pull it out of the blowback housing to begin with, and then to actually get it back into the blowback housing, I really have to, sorry, focus on this camera is terrible, there we go. I really have to give it a lot of stick, and this is just not working. So the nozzle spring is too weak to pull the nozzle back into the blowback housing, which means that because it doesn't return, you end up with a situation where you don't have a complete cycle, so the nozzle never returns far enough back to load another BB. Now the only way I could fathom to fix this was, it's a bit disgusting, but I'll put a picture up on the screen. I didn't have any autosol or any rubbing compound to hand, so what I actually used was toothpaste, and I sat down and I worked the nozzle in and out covered in toothpaste to the blowback housing for a good hour or so, and this broke it in enough for the nozzle spring to actually have the strength to pull it back into the blowback housing, and it now returns home every time, which is fantastic. So this pistol now cycles. It will, but Chrono, it fires at a decent FPS. But really, you shouldn't have to do that on a brand new pistol. That isn't just a slight tolerance problem. That is, the blowback housing is not the right size for the blowback unit. Sorry, the nozzle is not the right size for the blowback housing. So again, shouldn't have to do that. In any other situation, this would have been a return. However, there are numerous people that have a similar issue with this. And I don't know if it was a bad run or a bad batch of pistols, so I've also had people say that they work fantastically well, and I completely accept that. Obviously, this was probably one of the first ones. I bought this when they were very first, probably a month after they were first available, so probably still the first batch. Whether WE have fixed them since then, I don't know, but it is definitely something that, if you're going to buy one, just be aware that if that happens, it is fixable, but you shouldn't have to do it. Anyway, so that covers that. I'm going to pop some firing footage on the screen now, and if you want to refresh yourself on how this pistol actually fired, rather than me making this video 9 hours long and adding all the footage in from the firing footage for the first test, you can go back and look at it on the less than positive review that I made. However, as you can see, we now make it through a full mag, and we are relatively on target. And the other thing that I'm going to focus on in this little video is the hop unit, which is obviously here. But it's just using this little flathead screw. Once I took it apart, I understood how it worked, and I was not particularly impressed. So anyway, we'll get onto that in a second. As you can see here, we've got semi-auto fire, full auto fire, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, this gun does now work very well. We are firing on 0.25s, and as we get into the Chrono footage, this is with 0.25s as well. I mean, we were firing at less than 240 FPS at a 0.2, 240, 250 in the previous test because the cycling of the pistol was so bad. And now we can actually make it through a full mag on full auto, and we can make it through at least 2.5, mags on semi-auto, which makes this a lot more viable as a pistol. So I'm pretty happy with that. Accuracy is still not fantastic, however, it's not that fantastic in most things, to be honest. I'm shooting from 15 metres, and I do use 0.25s in that test because that's what the hop was set for. The range on this is quite impressive, however, its maximum effective range, where you're actually going to hit anything, I would have to measure it, but I'm guessing it's not much over 30 metres realistically, in terms of I want to shoot a person, you know, a fellow player, 30 metres, can this do it? Yes. Once you start getting out to 35 to 40 metres, is it still going to be that accurate, or is the BB curving off somewhere? Yeah, it's a passable performance for an out-of-the-box pistol. Once parts start coming out, it may well be possible that you can actually do things to this that will make it a lot more effective. However, if you just sit tight a sec, I'm going to show you the Hopup Chamber and why I think this needs a complete redesign, and I'm hoping that someone will do something with the Hopup system in this, because it is quite a terrible design. So if you sit tight a sec, I'll pull this apart, I'll demonstrate what I mean. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to apologise for this camera if it loses focus at any point. I'm going to do my best to show you the sort of workings of this Hopup Chamber. Now, the Hopup Chamber is packaged within this rather heavy duty cast pot metal part, and these walls keep the Hopup Chamber together, so to speak. This is your Hopup, so there's your flathead screw that adjusts, and what it does is it uses a spring, and the spring is located just to the, well, from your point of view, the left of this flathead screw. And as you undo the flathead screw, the spring pushes the arm down, which allows the top of the arm to push down on the Hopup rubber. Now, this is the only Hopup I've come across that doesn't actually rely on a mechanical link between some sort of dial or a lever to move this Hopup arm. So if I put the old flathead driver into the screw and use my finger to support the arm, because the arm is normally supported by the chamber, as I squeeze it out, oh, I've lost focus, there you go. As I turn it, you should see that arm will come down, but it only barely moves. This pistol is nearly new, so this spring does not have a lot of use, and I'll show you what the spring is. Just bear with me a sec. So if I pull this flathead screw completely out, I don't know if the arm will come off at this point, because I think you have to split the chamber. If I have to split the chamber, I'll tell you. Yeah, so you can see in there, that is your spring. If you look behind the arm, you'll see the spring, and that is your kind of weight that brings the Hopup arm down. Now, the other reason that mine fired so terribly out of the box, and when it did work, the accuracy was so bad, when I took this Hopup chamber apart, there was a big bit of metal flash stuck between the two halves, which was actually holding it slightly apart, which is not good for your gas seal and not good for your consistency of your hop. So this now does fire a lot better, but again, it's something I shouldn't have to do on a new pistol. It's something I don't really want to, have to contend with. But my main concern with this hop is I don't understand why you would design it like this. I really don't. Oil all over it, getting on my hands. Because this has no, the Hopup arm doesn't really like moving. I would suspect that you would struggle to hop much more than 0.25 like I did in that test. I was pretty much maxed out on the hop. And that is because this spring under here is all that is giving you that hop. So this screw doesn't bring the arm down with it as it comes out. It's entirely reliant on the spring, sorry. And as you can see, it only moves a couple of millimeters max. I would just like to say at this point, if WE really want a designer to give them a decent hop, I could have designed something better than this on the back of a fag packet in about 13 seconds. I've no doubt that someone can do something with this. The Hopup rubber is not proprietary, so yeah, it's a genuine sort of standard gas blowback Hopup rubber, which is nice. So you can put better quality ones in there from people like Maple Leaf. Barrel is not proprietary, so again you can fit like a Maple Leaf barrel or a Promi barrel or anything like that. But I say this general Hopup design is really unsatisfying. And unfortunately, it needs completely replacing to be really much cop. I know there's people around who probably tell me that their gun fires at 350 FPS on the dot and will hit out of 400 meters, but I'm telling you that Hopup is not going to last long. You'll need to be replacing the spring in it, because a spring that's under constant tension will lose its essentially lose its power, in the same way that when you put a spring in an AEG, or when you get a brand new AEG out of the box, the first shots that you fire for it will often be 20 FPS hotter than your resultant shots, because you are actually working that spring in, and it will lose some of its power. That is a spring under constant tension, and that is going to lose its power. So this Hopup, it's already not particularly effective, and it's going to lose its effectiveness as time goes on. But anyway, this now works. I think it's a bit of a triumph. It took a few hours of fiddling, a lot of deep lube, a lot of false cycling the gun, but I am now happy it works. I feel less ripped off, even though, to be honest, I should feel ripped off, because I should never have had to do it myself. It should have worked out of the box, and I hope that if anyone's bought one since, it works for you, and I hope that you're happy with it. I still got the arse that they use the Gen 5 mags, because it doesn't feed well or at all, depending on which magazine you use, out of the absolute plethora of Gen 3 and Gen 4 mags, whereas something like an AEP01, hell, I think if you filled a BB full of shopping trolley full of BBs and just shoved the gun in there, it would probably still feed. It feeds from pretty much everything, and this thing feeds from its one mag. These are sort of like the Gen 5 MOS style mags that you get with the new release of the Glock, or the EU series that WE make. So I only guess it makes sense to use it in the new thing, but it's just annoying because normally people have a few G series mags lying around, and it would be nice if it just worked with them. Apart from that, there isn't too many more things to moan about. I'm now quite satisfied with this. It'll get run out in the CQB competition. We'll see how it goes. I still think it's a nice looking gun, nice looking platform, but I can't be saying I see good things in its future. We need parts. We need parts. We need aftermarket parts. We need someone to do something with a Hopup chamber. Yeah, really, it's a poor design, and it's kind of disappointing. But hey, at least we got another video out of it. I've been Ben. It's been a Shots Fired Airsoft video. The next video is going to be the firing test of the CM132S that I modified in the last video, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much, and goodbye.